Number 4, outside receiver. They need an impact outside receiver. Now, Amorian Walker has some tools. He has some upside, but he's also got a very low floor. He's a very bit of a project at this point in time. And you need to add another impact player to push the guys that are already on campus. And to me, there are 3 guys that fit this bill. Notre Dame has to land one of them, in my view. If you don't land one of these 3 guys, unless somebody new comes on the board of similar caliber that we're not talking about yet, then it's going to be a disappointing receiver class when you consider when you hold it to the standard of, are you closing the gap on the big boys? This is a must. Number 1 is CJ Williams from Modern Day out in California. Notre Dame is way down his list. There was a lot of talk early in his recruitment that Notre Dame was the number 1 school. They're still talking to him. They've got to turn the heat up on CJ Williams and make themselves a much better player for him. Big physical. He's like 6'2" big. He's not like 6'5" big, but he's strong. He's well built. He can work the middle of the field. He can work the outside stuff. He's a lot like Javon McKinley, but a little bit more smooth and fluid athletically. And so he's got a lot of that one-on-one ability on the outside. He can stretch the field. He can work the middle of the field. Really dynamic player. A guy that I think Notre Dame might have a better shot with, who I also like a lot, is Tobias Merriweather, who's from the state of Washington. Now, the thing I like about Tobias is, even just based off sophomore film, and we've only seen sophomore film at this point in time, this is a kid that to me has the tool. He has 5-star upside, and he's ranked about a top 100 guy. I think he's going to continue to climb up the rankings because he's tall. He's an incredibly long strider. He's faster than you think. Those long strides can be deceptive. I think he's faster than people think. Tremendous ball skills. He's a far more advanced and even taller version of Amorian Walker. So, a guy that actually has some of that explosiveness. He's a very good route runner. He has the potential to be an exceptional route runner for a 6'4" guy. And his ball skills are top notch. This kid would be a difference maker at a place like Notre Dame, should they get him. Number 3 is Andre Green Jr. Again, like Caden Saunders, not as highly ranked as I think he should be. So I'm going off of tape, not recruiting service rankings. 6'3", 185 to 190 pounds, goes to St. Christopher's in Virginia, which is a private school. Clearly a high academic young man, talented, physical, really athletic. He's not a burner. He doesn't have take the top off the defense speed per se, but his route running potential, his ball skills make him a big play threat, in my opinion. He's also got potential to be an outstanding route runner. He can work the middle of the field. He can work the sidelines. He can win the one-on-ones. And he's a really smooth athlete with really, really good ball skills. So you get any of those 3 guys, and to me, you add them with Amorian Walker and you get one of those slots, that's the kind of receiver class that can move the needle. It also gives you 3 straight years of really outstanding receiver recruiting. And that's what you have to do at Notre Dame. You can't just have what we've seen in the past, where if you look at Notre Dame's receiver recruiting in 2015 and 2016, excellent. You added Equanimous St. Brown, Kevin Stepherson, C.J. Sanders, Miles Boykin, Chase Claypool, Jalen Guyton. It's a lot of NFL guys in there. Not all of them worked out at Notre Dame, but some of them did. And that was a lot of talent. But what was it surrounded by? A 2014 class with Justin Brent, who was never really a receiver, and Corey Holmes, who didn't pan out, and a 2017 class with Jafar Armstrong and Michael Young. And so we just haven't seen that consistency at receiver recruiting for Notre Dame like you see at the big schools. So it's not just about adding talent. They've added talent the previous 2 years. It's about consistently adding talent. Because here's the reality. Some guys get hurt. Some guys pan out. Some guys don't pan out, Some guys transfer. Some guys maybe you misevaluated. Some guys don't develop the way you think they can. So there's no perfect recruiting. You're going to get guys that you think are really, really good players and they don't pan out for some reason. That's why recruiting at a high level year after year after year is so important. Notre Dame cannot afford to not bring in another great recruiting class in 2022. They just can't. And you can't use the excuse of, well, they did really well last year, the year before. So did Alabama. So did Ohio State. So did LSU. And so did Clemson. Now, they're all going to have really good receiver classes again this year. So if you don't at Notre Dame, then you've actually allowed the gap to widen instead of narrowing it. And that is on you, because this is a good receiver class. There's a lot of players that are natural fits for Notre Dame that they need to get three of them. You need to get three. Now, you've already got one. You took the high upside kid with the lower floor. That's fine. I can live with that. But only if you land two really impact players to go with him. If Amorian Walker's your third best player in this class, and the two guys, to me, are much higher floors than him, with high ceilings, that's the kind of receiver class that, to me, will tell me that Notre Dame is ready to close the gap.